Let's talk about what Ron DeSantis is doing, and one of the things that I would really, really support him over, and this is from the Washington Post. DeSantis invokes MLK as he proposes Stop Woke Act against critical race theory. I'm a fan, they say. As Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was introducing proposed legislation that would allow parents to sue schools teaching critical race theory in the classroom, he invoked the words of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., that's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to try and make his point about the Stop Woke Act and the escalating conflict over the teaching of race. You see how they do that? Teaching of race. Yeah, okay, nice try. Quote, you think about what MLK stood for. He said he didn't want people judged on the color of their skin, but on the content of their character.
Yep.
DeSantis said, you listen to some of these people nowadays, they don't talk about that. So I tell you this. The one thing I always ask my liberal friends, I say something very, very simple to them. I say, do you support the message of Dr. King? You know, they all say,
yes.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, what about segregating these classrooms on the basis of race is in line with judging people on the content of their character, not the color of their skin?
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, there's a cognitive dissonance. They get angry because they're very tribalist.
Well, because it's not fair. It's like the instant reaction.
Well, they say colorblind society is wrong, and I'm like, so you don't agree with Dr. King. What Ron DeSantis is doing is what I wanted Trump to be doing. The left establishment lies about what critical race theory is to try and inject this into our society. Joe Biden gets rid of Trump's executive order bans on critical race theory training, and the leftists, who are in many ways populists, many of them aren't, support this because this is a precursor to a form of communism or a path towards chaos and destruction that can bring that about.
Yes.
I think if MLK was alive today, this might be a little bit hyperbolic, but I think he would be villainized and slandered by the corporate media. I think he would be shadow banned. I think he would be banned on big tech social media.
I hate to use this phrase, so I will put quotes around it, but he would be called by liberals Uncle Tom.
Or a white supremacist.
Yeah.
Well, we have seen people who use his words literally be called that.
But look at how they treat any member of a group, whether you are a woman like myself. Well, they're yes, all women until it comes to a woman like me.
Right.
Or they are for minorities unless you happen to be Ben Carson or Alan West or Condoleezza Rice, Candace Owens, or they're for the LGBTQ people unless you're Dave Rubin. It's everything has like a stop point for them because it is the ideology and the agenda.
Was MLK anti-LGBTQ? I'm not sure, but I was reading something, but I'm not entirely sure.
The FBI had a lot of dirt on him showing that he had extramarital affairs that they were using against him. They literally sent evidence of that to his wife when he was in prison, as the FBI was sending MLK letters telling him to kill himself in prison as they were extorting him politically with these larger, bigger truths that they got on him after spying on him. He was a part of the church, and he was preaching that kind of church lifestyle. He was a reverend.
I love how, like, if you believe in the biblical definition of marriage, like I myself do, that now that's just like dubbed anti-gay.
Yeah, and he did have extramarital affairs, and because of that, the FBI that was spying on him got that information and was literally trying to use it so he would kill himself. That's the history of the FBI, the institution that now has all of Epstein's secret files and videotapes and photos.
I will totally
of
talk conspiracy theories.
Okay, so I think that's not true. I want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, I don't.
But he was a member of the church, and he preached a lot in church, and he was also, let's be fair, he was also attacked by the corporate media back then. He wasn't seen as someone who was extremely popular. Only after he died was he seen as someone who was popular, and then kind of became more popular by the day.
Well, that's typically most leaders, right?
Yes.
And I think that from a evangelical background, like I think the beauty of actual history and the beauty of religious history is that it shows the innate sin that we are all born into and how nobody is perfect. And so it's actually, I was homeschooled all 12 years. I'm now a homeschool mom to an 8, 4, and 2-year-old. And it's fascinating to me that right around the time the CRT stuff started coming up, I was reading about like turn of the century, post-Civil War, like post-Depression era, pre-Civil Rights Movement Americans with my now 8-year-old. Like Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry is her favorite book.
It's a great book.
And I'm like, this is stuff that I learned. Like I learned real American history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know who hasn't been learning it for the last 30 years? Kids in public schools. Why are they not learning it? Because of lazy teachers unions that I could go after. And so it's fascinating to me that people just have this thing where they assume that everyone is supposed to be perfect. And I think really the problem boils down to politically, culturally, pop culturally, whatever. People just put people on a pedestal that should not be there.
I think this issue is a very it's right for Ron DeSantis to tackle it this way. Donald Trump did the critical race theory ban, but they didn't call it that. They used very specific language. And what's fascinating, when Donald Trump issued the executive order banning these trainings, he was following existing law. The 1964 Civil Rights Act says you cannot discriminate on the basis of race as one of its many titles. And what was happening at these government contractors was they were having whiteness like anti-whiteness trainings. And there was one, I think it was the nuclear laboratory. I'm not which one. We're not sure which one.
That's super duper important, by the way. Like when you're working around nukes.
So this is Christopher
on the
Rufo
atomic
had all this
scale,
stuff.
race matters, right?
And they made the white men go to like some retreat to learn about, like, you can't do that. That violates the law. So Trump comes out and says, hey, guys, this breaks the law. Don't do it.
Yep.
Joe Biden comes in and says, come on, man, break the law. And he just undoes the executive order. And I'm like, this is insanity. So Ron DeSantis is stepping up with this. We'll see what, if he does end up running. It's tough to say. I mean, if Trump ends up running, do you think DeSantis would actually run against him?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Really?
I would support DeSantis over Trump.
I think it's DeSantis' only chance. If he doesn't run, that's going to be the where a lot of people aren't going to be following him and supporting him after that, because this is his only chance, really.
And honestly, like Trump can only Trump can only blame like the state so much for the early COVID policy that he implemented.
Yeah.
Right.
So anybody, any Republican or independent or even Democrat who runs against him can literally look at all of the edicts that he had.
Yeah. 2 weeks to solve the spread.
Yeah,
Dr. Fauci.
Exactly.
And
Fauci.
Ron DeSantis would be standing next to Donald Trump on a debate stage, and he would say, with all due respect, Mr. President, for the good work you did, I would have fired Fauci on day one.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone's going to go, wow.
Yeah, and that's
cheer like crazy.
any Republican that runs against Trump, that's all they have to say.
Yep.
Is why did you keep Fauci in? You were knocking him, but you had the authority to get rid of him. Why didn't you do that?
He wouldn't do it. I think it was it Kushner, I think?
Yeah,
I can't remember who we were
so.
talking to. They were like, he was advised not to do it.
Really?
Yeah, he was advised to keep him around. He's too popular. You got to keep him.
There was
Trump
4
didn't get it.
horsemen of the White House that Peter Navarro was telling us. I don't know if this was on the after segment or during the time that he was on,
this
but he
is why
talked
people
about
gotta stay
4
for the after
individuals that
segment.
were telling him to keep Fauci there, and that it would be better for Trump to keep him.
What a mistake.
Yep.
Well, we got to see what Ron DeSantis is willing to do in other areas. Wokeness is not a reason for me to solely support somebody.
Yeah.
But I will say...
Or mandates or, yeah.
But I got to admit, when it comes to COVID, I would love... I remember back when I was telling you about how 2019, it was so fast, it was so great. Man, do you guys remember what life was like before the start of the pandemic?
Yep.
It was amazing. I could actually go speak on college campuses and have real life protesters.
Yeah.
We took it for granted.
Right.
Flying all over the world, just checking out crazy
But
protests.
Florida is still like that.
Yep.
Yeah, Florida is normal.
Yeah. Texas, for the most part, is as well.
By the way, my time in DC, surprisingly, I have not. I put on a mask in an Uber once, and only because the driver asked me, and I respect that when they ask. I don't even know what my rating is because I just get into Ubers all the time unmasked. Less masking in DC than LA.
What's the courtesy with masks and Uber? Do you get in unmasked and only mask up if they ask, or do you get in with the mask
Yeah,
on?
I lie. I tell a little lie when it's like, do you have a mask? I'm like, well, I have a mask, but I'm not wearing a mask because you have to check that button before you can order.
I literally have it.
You have to wear 3 masks. And then when you get in, you can ask the driver how many you're allowed to take off. And if he tells you to wear 10,
May I
you have to.
disrobe, sir?
Oh gosh.
I had
a little
an
different.
Uber driver ask
May I
me to
grace
take
your
it off.
presence with my face
I've-
mask?
Allow me to reveal myself.
I've never asked that question.
I was
Never
asked
asked
if I
to
wanted to
disrobe.
take it off, so I was like, yeah.
Your mask.
He's like, want to
not the
take
mask,
it off?
Tim.
And he turned the music up. I was like, yeah.
It's a little Marvin Gaye playing.
He's
Welcome
like,
to Texas.
hey there, Ian.
Yeah.
You want to take that mask off?
Austin
So
in the
I
house.
do have
Let
to
me see
say,
what you're working on
like,
underneath there.
I am very glad. I don't know who here is in relationships or not, but like I've been married for 12 years, and I'm so grateful that I like found my husband, got married young, because like I could not date
Imagine
today.
dating,
but
right?
then I talk to friends or like read random like threads and stuff online about people that date, and there was this one girl. She was like, "Yeah, we were having like something training at the bar where I work, and this guy like he was tall, he was fit, had a good voice, asked me out, and then they went out after work." And where they could take off their masks.
Oh, no.
And she was like, he was
snap.
better with the mask on.
Oh, no.
Here, take a look at this. Take a look at this. We have this
Oh
video.
my gosh.
Oh
This
yeah.
is
This video went viral before.
Dating in 2021.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. Why can't I?
That guy's the epitome of high testosterone.
Look at that face.
So good.
So it's clear that this guy's wife or significant other wants to wear. They're wearing these big plastic tubes.
But they're holding hands.
They're like dogs.
And what
And-
is the
right,
purpose?
like
after
dog bones.
after a dog gets, you know what? That's what he is.
Get
Okay,
snipped.
so I just got to explain it to people
Yep,
who can't
exactly.
see it, who are just listening.
Neutered.
There is a woman and a man. This is a report, I think it's from RT. And the woman is happy. She's showing off that she's wearing a dog cone. It's effectively a dog cone. But the guy's face is just, he's like,
He's
It's
literally
one of those
neutered.
smiles
he's
where you just clench your jaw.
That's like a live shot of me anytime Gavin Newsom says that he's extending the mask mandate.
no.
I'm like,
this guy, man. I'm just like, bro.
by the way, she's
that's-
way too pretty for him.
Yeah,
Look at- and
she's
that, and he
like
knows it, and
crazy.
he
Oh,
knows
look
it,
at
and
that.
that's why he's doing it. Look at
Yeah.
watch this. She does like she
She's
twirls.
twirling.
Oh, I don't like
She
her.
What are you,
twirls,
Cinderella?
And then it shows. Look at that, taking pictures, and then look at the guy's face. He's just.
She's not too pretty for
miserable.
him. She's
Look
too
at
crazy
this.
for him.
Yeah.
That's what they call a smile when you're not happy.
Yeah.
When you just
I gotta
clench
tell
your
this guy.
Jane.
I think this is in Europe, but I just want to tell this man, my friend, Florida.
Yes.
Is a
Yeah.
real place. He'll be like, no, don't. So, is it true?
Don't take it
Florida's,
away from
Florida's not real.
Be like,
Last year when I left the show, the first day I got into Florida, they had a mask burning at the
Yeah.
beach.
that's amazing.
And huge parties down
That's
at Fort
amazing.
Lauderdale.
I
And
feel-
I went down there and I literally didn't even unpack my RV. I was like, I need to see this. I need to see what's going on here. Huge parties, huge clubs, huge bars. Everyone's partying. And there's like hundreds of people on the beach. And they're all just taking their masks, literally burning them on fire, being
That's
like, we're not
amazing.
going to comply with this absolute
you
nonsense
can't do
here.
that in California because then you're like contributing to the bad environment.
right.
I feel like telling that guy, like, some people have low T because of age. You have low T because of that thing that you're wearing
Yeah,
around your
So
neck.
I want to I'll bring it back to Ron DeSantis, and that humor is exactly why I'm like, that to me is leadership.
We also have to, like, he has been under fire for a year and a half now, almost 2 years. I cannot believe this, but like in March, we will be at the 2-year mark from when all of this craziness began. And he has been consistent. He has not kowtowed.
haven't
He has
found
not
anything
given
on him.
up. They haven't found anything on him as much as they have tried. And I think that he has handled it really brilliantly. I'm a fan.
Well,
I'm
the
a fan.
corporate
In case you
media
can't tell, I'm a
said
fan.
that he was
Yeah.
going to be the butcher of Florida. That there's going to be a bloodbath. That
Sanders.
bodies were going to be piling on top of bodies.
No,
because
that would
of
have
his
been
COVID
Andrew
policies.
Cuomo.
Though that was
Literally
because of
was
his
Andrew Cuomo.
because of his elderly home policy, but the amount of criticism that he was able to withstand from the national media attacking him is noteworthy, and it's really going to be interesting to see him tee off against Trump, which I think is going to happen.
No one else run.
But I-
Nikki,
but- It's
love
It's going to
you.
happen.
Yeah.
They're going to
But
fight
Jim
each other.
Jordan,
It's going to get
love
it's going
you.
to get nasty.
Like,
It's going to get
DeSantis,
bad.
Trump, they got to WWE it up. The two of them together should coordinate no matter who wins and make it the biggest spectacle on earth. Just a Florida, the hot Florida action, nonstop. The two
Wow.
of them.
Ego's going to tell a
Sorry,
different
that sounded
story.
like a spring break tease.
Otherwise,
Florida.
otherwise the corporate media is going to overtake them and pump their candidate and put Hillary in. I mean, they have to work together. Otherwise,
But
they're
they're
just
not.
going to get
But here's
smeared
the
and
beauty,
stomped
though,
out.
of new media. Like, here's the beauty of what you guys do. Like, the beauty of my phone that I can go to, and people have the ability. Like, it isn't just the 2 4s and 7s anymore, right? It's not the 3 channels where you get
Yeah.
all of your information that my parents or my grandparents thought was.
4.
We had 3, 5, and 8.
Yeah,
There
we
were
had two. We had 2,
2, 4,
5,
and
9,
It was
32.
like,
hell's
it's like
going on?
4 was always Fox, 7 was always ABC. Okay, fine.
Where in
5 was
California?
ABC for us.
Oh.
In Chicago, 2 was CBS, 5 was NBC, 9 was WGN, and Fox was 32.
Man, WGN.
Yeah, WGN, Fox 32.
Back in the-
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.